The investigation into the horrific Air India Flight 171 crash, a disaster that claimed over 240 lives just days ago, has taken a really critical turn. New details, pieced together from those vital last moments of the flight, are starting to paint a chilling picture of what might have gone terribly wrong. Investigators have now pinpointed a deeply alarming anomaly, a configuration that, simply put, should never happen on takeoff. Just 5 minutes. That's all it took for Air India Flight 171 to go from what seemed like a routine departure to a catastrophic inferno. But in those few minutes, sequence of events unfolded that investigators are now racing against time to understand. And what they've found, a critical clue from the aircraft itself, points to a terrifying possibility. They discovered the Boeing 787 Dreamliner was in an extremely abnormal flight configuration moments after lifting off. This isn't just some minor detail. It's a glaring red flag, one that could completely rewrite our understanding of this tragedy. Here's what we know. On June 12th, 2025, Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 7878 Dreamliner, left Ahmedabad Airport at 1:38 p.m. local time. It was headed for London Gatwick. On board were 242 souls, 230 passengers, and 12 crew members. In an incredibly short span of time, the aircraft only reached a maximum altitude of just 625 feet before it plummeted. It crashed into a densely populated residential area, hitting buildings, including the dining area of a medical college. The devastation was absolute. Tragically, 241 of those on board died. Adding to the heartbreak, the crash also claimed lives on the ground. Initial reports said at least 38 fatalities in the impacted buildings. Updated figures on June 15th suggest the total death toll has climbed to a staggering 279, including 241 from the flight and those 38 on the ground. So what is this critical new finding that has investigators so laser-focused? It's this visual analysis from the moments right after takeoff, which is now being backed up by initial flight data recorder information, shows Air India Flight 171 was in a highly unusual and dangerous configuration. Specifically, the aircraft's landing gear was still extended, or down, while its wing flaps were fully retracted, or up. Now, to really get why this is so critical, we need a quick lesson in aerodynamics. During takeoff, pilots extend the wing flaps. This increases the wing surface area and curvature, which generates the enormous lift needed for a heavy aircraft to get airborne and climb safely at lower speeds. Standard operating procedure for a Boeing 787 calls for flaps to be set at a specific position, like 5 degrees or higher, for takeoff. Then, they're gradually retracted as the aircraft gains speed and altitude. At the same time, the landing gear is pulled up shortly after liftoff to reduce drag. What investigators are seeing with Flight 171, gear down, flaps up, is the exact opposite of what should be happening. This setup severely reduces lift and dramatically increases drag. That makes it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for the aircraft to climb or even maintain altitude, especially at such a critical low-altitude phase of flight. One expert bluntly stated that this could explain why the aircraft came down, as the aircraft would not have been able to maintain flight in such a state. Some analysts are even speculating that the pilots might have briefly retracted the gear, only to extend it again, perhaps if they realized they were losing thrust or power. Another theory floating around is that the landing gear might have become stuck in the down position due to some mechanical or hydraulic failure, leading the crew to possibly retract the flaps early to try and cut down on overall drag. This abnormal setup is a major breakthrough. While the full story is still locked away in the now recovered black boxes, both the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder have been secured. This initial finding gives a crucial focus point for the investigation. The flight data recorder was actually found on a rooftop near the crash site on June 13th, a pretty significant step confirmed by the Civil Aviation Minister. The cockpit voice recorder was then recovered by June 15th. These recorders will hold the key to why the plane was in this perilous state. Adding another layer to this, there are reports of the pilot's chilling final words. Moments before the crash, the pilot made a distress call. Thrust not achieved, falling. Mayday, 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 mayday. This seems to line up with the observation that the aircraft used the entire 3.5-kilometer runway, way more than the typical 2.5 to 3 kilometers needed, suggesting it just might not have had enough thrust for takeoff. With the black boxes now in hand, the Indian Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAAB, is working around the clock to decode the flight's final moments. They're not alone in this. International teams are assisting, including a group of 4 investigators from the UK Air Accidents Investigation Branch, who bring expertise in aircraft operations, engineering, and recorded data. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, is also involved, which is pretty standard procedure since the aircraft was American-made. The investigation is looking at this from many angles. Beyond the abnormal gear and flap configuration, authorities are examining several possibilities. Potential mechanical failures are high on the list, especially concerning the engines, the flap systems, and the landing gear mechanisms. That last message from the pilot about thrust not achieved points a finger directly towards a possible engine issue. The maintenance history of this particular Boeing 7,878 Dreamliner and Air India's broader maintenance practices are also under the microscope. There's been some unconfirmed online chatter about this specific aircraft having a history of electrical and mechanical malfunctions, particularly with flap functions, though this needs to be officially verified. While anti-terror squads were involved as a precaution, a bird strike has reportedly been ruled out as a primary cause. Sabotage, pilot error, and systems failure are all still on the table. Amidst all the technical investigation, the human cost of this tragedy is just immeasurable and profoundly heart-wrenching. The story of Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, the sole survivor, is nothing short of miraculous. This 40-year-old British national from Leicester was seated in 11A. He recounted hearing a loud noise just 30 seconds after takeoff, followed by the devastating crash. He described his escape. "I thought I would die. I just jumped out. I don't know how I came out of it alive." He somehow managed to push aside a broken emergency door after the section of the plane he was in hit the medical college building. From his hospital bed where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries, he recalled witnessing the death of an air hostess and many others around him. He was seen bloodied and dazed, clutching his mobile phone, having simply walked out of the burning rubble. The victims came from various nations. 169 were Indian, 53 British, 1 Canadian. 53 British, 1 Canadian, and 7 Portuguese citizens. Each loss represents a shattered family, a community in deep mourning. The tragedy has orphaned 2 young sisters whose father, Arjun Patolia, died in the crash just weeks after their mother succumbed to cancer. The crash also tragically claimed the lives of 5 medical students who were inside the college building that was struck, with several others injured. The investigation into Air India Flight 171 is still in its early stages. Even with the quick recovery of crucial evidence like the black boxes and identifying that abnormal flight configuration, the data from these recorders will be meticulously analyzed to reconstruct the precise sequence of events in the cockpit and within the aircraft systems. This will be absolutely essential to determine if the cause was a catastrophic mechanical issue, some unavoidable external factor, a critical system failure, or human error. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the crash site and Ahmedabad Civil Hospital. He interacted with the injured and bereaved families and reviewed the relief efforts. He, along with other senior government officials, including the Home Minister and Civil Aviation Minister, pledged full transparency and support for the investigation and all affected families. The Civil Aviation Minister, Ram Mohan Naidu, has announced a multi-level investigation and visionary safety reforms aimed at strengthening aviation safety in the country. Beyond just figuring out the cause, this tragedy has inevitably prompted renewed scrutiny of Air India's safety protocols and maintenance practices. It also raises broader questions about aviation safety in India and the operational integrity of the aircraft involved. The coming days and weeks will be absolutely crucial as more information is painstakingly extracted and analyzed from those black boxes. This channel will continue to follow the investigation closely and bring you factual updates as they emerge. What are your thoughts on these latest developments? Do you have any words of condolence for the families affected by this immense tragedy? Please share your respectful comments below. If you found this update informative, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more in-depth reports on critical aviation incidents. Your support really helps us continue our work. The discovery of Air India Flight 171's abnormal takeoff configuration, landing gear down, flaps up, combined with the pilot's desperate thrust not achieved call, marks a significant step in what is a complex and heartbreaking investigation. While it offers a strong clue, it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle that investigators are now working tirelessly to assemble. The nation, and indeed the world, mourns the nearly 280 lives lost in Ahmedabad. The priority now is to uncover the full truth behind this disaster, to learn every possible lesson, and to ensure such a tragedy is never repeated. The memories of those lost will serve as a solemn reminder of the critical importance of aviation safety, and the unwavering pursuit of answers is the very least we owe them.